Now that the Armory update has been out for a couple weeks, the case market has completely flipped on its head. Now coming in at my number 5 is going to be the CS20 case and the Clutch case. Now both of these are actually opposite ends of the spectrum. The Clutch case is going to be a little bit cheaper, but it's going to be having a little bit more supply, coming in at about 50 cents. CS20 is going to be coming in at around 65 to 70 cents with a lot less supply inside of this area, neither of which are necessarily better or worse. It really comes down to which one you prefer. Now talking about these cases specifically, they're not my favorite cases in the current moment. Obviously they're a little bit cheaper and therefore they're a little bit less in demand overall, but I don't think they're bad investments. Both of these are going to be solid options, but they're a lot more long-term than anything else you're going to be finding on this list. They need a lot of time to develop, and overall the demand isn't absolutely crazy for these cases, but they're going to be coming in at a cheaper price point, which is going to give you the potential to make a strong ROI instead of a case investment, which is not fully available for everything. They're not terrible, but they're not amazing. Skinland is today's sponsor, and they're giving you a $10 bonus with code MasterShiny just to try them out. They're my go-to selling spot with the highest rate for sellers, and it's super easy to use. They're going to be currently the best option, paying over 100% when you use that $10 bonus. They're super trusted when it comes to transactions, and it took me just about 2 minutes for me to get my over $200 from this Emerald Jormungandr. They've got tons of different payout options, and they're also going to be having a super low fee buyer's marketplace. It's super easy, tons of deals cheaper than Steam, and tons of different deposit options. This deal won't last forever. Make sure you check them out today with that top link in the description. Now talking about that gallery case, we're not going to go too deep into it because it's got a lot of time to develop, but overall it is sitting at a really similar price point to what I thought it was going to be sitting at. Personally, I was thinking about $1.10 to $1.20. It's sitting at about $1.08. Overall, I don't really expect too much from the case moving forward. I think it's probably going to be sitting at a pretty consistent price point moving forward. It's just enough profit for people to go ahead and continually grind these out. Might get a cent or two more expensive, but overall, it's not going to be an investment at this point. I don't think it's really gotten to the price point that I would personally want to invest at. I'm going to keep watching it though. Now talking about active duty cases, in a previous video, we talked about how during an operation, active duty cases lose about 50% of their value. Overall, we saw a huge drop when the Armory released, and now we're starting to see a little bit of a recovery, but we're starting to lose that once again, which is actually very interesting and more so leaning towards the market viewing this as an operation over anything else. Now with that being said, that obviously brings up a lot of investment potential because I think active duty cases are okay investment at the right price point, but overall I don't think we're really getting to that point just yet. I think there's a lot more room for these to drop, and I think they're probably going to continue dropping. People are going to be continuing to sell these off. They want the Armory Pass. The Armory Pass is definitely going to be the hot new thing until Shanghai. I definitely don't think it's the smartest move to invest just yet. I think our price points are going to be getting cheaper. Number 4 case on my list is going to be going to the Revolver. Now when we're talking about the Revolver, overall it has not really been seeing too much going on in the past couple of months, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. Overall, it's one of the most expensive cases you're going to be finding on this list, and therefore it's going to be a lot more stable and a lot less prone to getting some massive upswings and also those massive downswings. Revolver case is definitely one that I think is going to be solid moving forward. It's got the rare OG knives, which have become more and more increasingly in demand, and when we're talking about cases overall, it's sitting at a relatively cheap price point for one of these older, more expensive cases, and it's also in a perfect spot overall that I think people are going to be looking to unbox this case moving forward. It's not necessarily the most in demand case when we look at unboxing numbers, but it's still strong and it's still definitely in demand. Now talking about those discontinued cases, specifically being the Riptide, the Broken Fang, and the Shattered Web, honestly every day that these are dropping down in price, they become more and more of an attractive investment. The biggest thing that's going along with these cases is their massive price point. Usually you're looking at about $5 on average if you were to collectively buy one of each of these, which is absolutely crazy. That's an expensive price point for nearly any case, let alone one that is obviously in a decent amount of supply. They still have a ton of supply left for these cases. Overall, I don't think they're a bad investment. It really just comes down to the opportunity cost. If you think it's worth it to get into one of these, the unboxing numbers have obviously slowed down significantly for all of them, but I don't think they're a bad investment. It's really, if you got the budget for it, you want a little bit of a safer option, these are perfect. Number 3 case on my list has to be going to the Snakebite. When we're talking about the current market, overall, there's a lot of cases out there, but there's only one case cheaper than the Snakebite. That's going to be the Recoil, and we just talked about it. It's got a massive supply. Snakebite is in a very interesting predicament right now because it's only sitting at about 22 cents with a buy order, which is crazy considering over the past year, this is pretty much the cheapest price point that it's really had for a long period of time. This is really good, and overall, I think when we're talking about an investment, the Snakebite definitely has a long-term potential. It's going to be taking forever for it to get to a stable price point that's actually worthwhile because of the massive supply, but it's got a really low opportunity cost right now. It's only coming in at one of the cheapest cases in the game. I think right now, it's probably not a bad investment if you're planning to stick around for a while. Snakebite is definitely going to be one of those ones that's going to be exploding overnight sometime in the future, but it's definitely not going to be today or tomorrow. The number 2 case on my list is going to be going to the Danger Zone. Now, overall, the Danger Zone is a really solid position. When we talk about unboxing numbers, it's usually coming in the top 3, which is very solid, very desirable, and we're talking about supply. It doesn't have a massive supply from what we know. These are just estimates, by the way, but it's been a very significant case overall. It's been one of the ones that we look at just to see where overall the rare case market for the cheaper end is going to be sitting at. The biggest thing that goes against the Danger Zone is really the fact that it's going to be on the more expensive end. When we're talking about cheaper rare cases, the Danger Zone is usually coming in as the most expensive. If you include the Horizon Horizon, which is the one area that might be the Danger Zone's competition because they do have the same rare special item. That's the only one that could be considered more expensive than it, but it's kind of in a league of its own just because of the timelines and how everything works out. Overall, the Danger Zone is a really solid case with not too much competition coming in from the Horizon. It's really just that price point that puts it at number 2 instead of number 1, but this is definitely a case I would recommend for an investment. It's very good. Now, when we're talking about making a case investment, it's really important that you choose the correct case, and the cases that I'm definitely not going to be buying are going to be these cases right here. It's going to be the Breakout, the Glove, the Phoenix, the Hydra. A lot of these cases overall are not too bad of an investment if we got into them early, but when we're looking at them now, it's really hard to justify it. If we're going to be looking at dropping $8 on a Breakout case, honestly, it's not in my wheelhouse. That's not the budget I'm looking for. I'm looking for strong gains in the percentage wise, not necessarily in the dollar wise, and these ones are a little bit too expensive in the current market in my personal opinion. Now, talking about the most desirable case family, in my opinion, these are going to be the Chromas. Now, if you're looking to make an investment into the Chromas, I definitely don't think it's a bad investment. Overall, it's just going to be running you a fair amount of money. They're very solid cases with strong demand. I would definitely say go for the Chroma 3. All of the Chromas tend to kind of move together in a pack, and overall, I think if you're going to be getting into any of them, the cheapest price point of the Chroma 3 is probably going to be making the most sense for nearly everyone. I don't think the Chroma 1 and the Chroma 2 are bad investments, but the Chroma 3 has blown these out of the water in terms of the unboxing demand, and the fact is overall demand. Now, if you're looking for some cases that have kind of fallen off people's radars that I think are really solid investments, the first one's going to be the Wildfire. The Wildfire is definitely one of the most solid when it comes to unboxing for an ROI, but overall the demand for this case is very strong. It's definitely one that I like moving forward. Other one is going to be the Spectrum 2. I feel like it's kind of fallen off people's radars for the most part. Same with the Wildfire. These are really solid cases that have shown significant unboxing demand. The supply isn't too big, and overall people do like these cases. They like what's inside of them, and I think they're not bad investments, and they've definitely proven that. Now, if there's one case I'm nervous about moving forward, it's going to be the Gammas. Unfortunately for the Gammas, they are so similar in every aspect about them. I definitely like them moving forward if they were a little bit different. They're so similar. People are only unboxing them for the knives at this point, and therefore they're kind of left in a situation where I don't think anyone really cares about the skins, which is bad for investors. We want the case that's going to be outperforming the other, not that they're going to be two equals. They're not bad investments, they're just not for me. And finally, the number one case on my list is going to be only the Prismo 1. Now, in previous videos, I've thrown the Prismo 1 and the Prismo 2 together whenever I've ranked them, and I think they're usually pretty solid and pretty similar, but overall right now I think the Prismo 1 definitely blows the Prismo 2 out of the water, and it really comes down to price. If we want to talk about it, you can see the Prismo 2 is sitting at about a 20 to 25% higher price point than what we're sitting at for the Prismo 1, which is absolutely insane. That's a crazy amount of money when we're talking about this level. You could get 5 Prismo 1s or 4 Prismo 2s. That's crazy. Not talking about actually why you should invest into these. They've got a really solid unboxings. If we want to talk about it, they're usually in the top 5 all the time, and we're talking about supply. They're definitely not going to be the lowest supply, but they've got a fair amount of supply, which is perfect. We want people to go ahead and unbox these, and I think they're in a really solid position moving forward. People love these cases. They're one of the most common when we're talking about an unboxing because they're at a cheap enough price point, meaning that they're accessible to everyone and they're able to be opened up at a large scale. That's all I got. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.